What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another More Than Philly Sports Network production, the first time in our entire network's history that we are live on the weekend. It is Sunday, the 7th of March in 2021. Skip 2020. We're not going to talk about that today. But in all seriousness, as always, you're alongside my co-host Gavin Tony, who has the nice Sixers on today. Unfortunately, not going to be represented in today's All-Star game. We're going to get to that because that's news hot off the presses a few hours ago. Before that, though, Gavin, not done the weekend yet, so we're still enjoying it. I'll ask you tomorrow how your weekend was to hear more about it. But more importantly, how are you doing on this fine Sunday afternoon?
Zach, I'm doing great. Listen, I feel like Charles Barkley when he finds out he has a back-to-back night with 3 games during the playoffs. Zach, we don't work on weekends. This is new. I was enjoying my time, all right? Zach, I watched the South Carolina women's basketball team take the SC championship. And also, Zach, I just watched UConn destroy and Villanova single-handedly. So they play tomorrow. But, Zach, I'm doing great. I was relaxing. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Look, golf is underway right now. I'm keeping track of it on the side for anyone interested in the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Through 14 holes, the leading group, Bryson DeChambeau, currently 11 under for the tournament, 1 under today, and is currently up by 1 stroke on Lee Westwood. So that's something that we'll keep an eye on if the tournament does end while we're still alive. Of course, we'll break the news. I'm pulling for Bryson DeChambeau. He's been getting a lot of criticism from many people for many different reasons, and I'm just glad to see him out there proving the haters wrong and week in and week out continuing to change the game. Almost drove the par 5 sixth hole, which is amazing. He's like 40 yards short every time. He's changing the rules of golf. It is changing forever. This is some historic time and some historic play from a really good player who this week is able to get up there knocking his putts, as well as make his approach shots. Of course, tomorrow when the tournament actually is over, we will break it down in some more detail. But I'm happy to see him. I'm happy for Bryson. I'm excited to see him continue to have success should he win today.
Zach, he has to silence me. I've been really critical since the new golf season has started. Zach, he hasn't done well ever since last year. So he has to prove something to me. Not really too much as a hater. I'm just a critic right now. Zach, you know where I stand when it comes to golf. It's Tiger, nobody. Right now, I got to find someone to root for. Because sadly, I don't think I'm going to be seeing my guy for a little while.
Yeah, no, again, unfortunate for that. Players' Championship next week, of course, we'll continue to keep everyone up to date. But just some news to start off today talking about the PGA Tour. But, of course, let's get into what matters most. The 2021 All-Star Game is set to go tonight at 8 o'clock p.m. on TNT between Team LeBron and Team Kevin Durant. Of course, a lot of things this year have not been the same. Of course, while in Atlanta, which is allowing fans, there will be no fans in attendance at tonight's game. And yes, let's start with some of the breaking news today. Just this morning, it was reported that the personal barber for both Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, not sure if there's any other Sixers, it has not been yet indicated, has tested positive for the coronavirus. I believe an inconclusive test, which for those who aren't up to date means a positive rapid test. And so he then had an official PCR test from what I'm hearing, and they also come back positive, which therefore makes both Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid close contacts. Therefore, they were in question for tonight's game. NBA officially making a decision earlier to not have them play due to health and safety protocols. There was no other close contact, according to sources. If that does remain true, I'm happy that the NBA made this decision. Again, it's debatable whether or not the All-Star Game should be played in the first place this year. The players, especially guys like James Harden, have been very vocal about that. I was in favor of a nod and a formal announcement of who made the All-Star teams, and you can still do drafts and all that, possibly do a 2K version. I'm all for getting out there and playing. I'm all for guys believing if they deserve it to go out there and play and quote-unquote risk themselves to go out there and do their jobs. I'm all for it. However, the All-Star Game is incredibly unnecessary. If Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons are going to go out there and play for the Sixers, that's one thing. But if you're forcing them to fly down to Atlanta, participate in this game, it's going to be fun tonight. Hopefully the pandemic itself it does not kind of shed a light over tonight, although it already started too. And at this point, we're used to it every day and every event that we see, unfortunately. It's going to be a fun night. I'm looking forward to watching the game. Team LeBron is a lot more talented than Team Durant, but we'll see if Team Durant can make a run for it because both sides have a lot of good players. I'm excited to see if the Utah Jazz players come out trying to make some noise. Maybe they will. But in all seriousness, we'll get to game predictions and all that in a minute. But first of all, Gavin, again, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons not playing tonight. As Sixers fans, the logistics behind the situation is it's at least 7 days missed from today, which is at least 2 games. If any of them return positive tests, it's 14 days. So potentially, and of course, the lingering effects of COVID, it's no joke to mess with, could also be in play as well if one of them does happen or both of them happen to contract the virus. As far as the All-Star game itself, though, again, they'll miss tonight, I guess, during quarantine, and will be heading back to Philadelphia and not participating in tonight's festivities.
Well, Zach, my first point, I just want to address this real quick. Zach, no one wants to watch 2K at all. All right, that game is terrible. For all my 2K players, all my 2K gamers, y'all know how bad 2K21 is next gen, all right, and current gen. It's horrible, Zach. Nobody wants to watch that trash, all right? Let's not even put that in the category. Madden did the same thing, and they saw how bad Madden was. But Sixers fans, we could look at this from multiple ways. Let's look at it from the positive side. Well, we know they're not hurt. All right, you know you're not going to go out there and risk injury for a game that doesn't matter, Zach. That's what we were talking about before we started. My thing with this year is it's a shorter season. All right, you're playing games a lot, and for Sixers in general, you are the best team in the East, record-wise. Zach, talent-wise, we know where it stands. Especially they just got Blake Griffin, but you now know that Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons are playing tonight. What does that mean? What that means, they're going to get extra rest. They're going to be like everybody else. They're going to have fresh legs. But guys like LeBron James and Steph Curry and everybody else is playing won't. They'll have some a little extra miles on the legs. But Zach, another point is too. Last year, Joel Embiid got hurt literally right after All-Star weekend. If you got MVP caliber player, we have to protect him and keep him motivated to play for what matters. This game doesn't matter, Zach, and it hurts and it pains me to say that because I love All-Star Weekend, Zach. I like All-Star Weekend better than any other festivity or Pro Bowl or whatever the heck you want to call it for any other major league sport. All-Star Weekend in basketball means a lot. You got the celebrity game, you got the USA versus World, you have Saturday night, which is condensed. Zach, that's stupid.
Yeah, the 3-point contest, dunk contest, skills challenge.
And whatever else they could find to throw in there. But Zach, Bobby Portis said it best. He said, I would have just, and he's not also, but he's just speaking in general. I'd rather just gotten the nod and then enjoy my time off with the family. Zach, we're in the middle of a pandemic. You're doing something, right? You're doing something that is meant for the fans. And Zach, they're not going to be there. They're not going to be there at all. So what's the point of having this? For what? For the game's best stars can come and play basically a rec style game for what? An hour and then have a couple festivities here and there? That's stupid. That is stupid. And like once again, Zach, this is coming from a guy that loves All-Star Weekend. But there's no point in having this. Look at Ben and Joel. Number one in the East, got a lot riding for him. Zach, if they would have, let's say today didn't happen. Let's say that the COVID contract chasing Kevin Durant's least best friend didn't happen, and they go out and play today, and then you risk them getting the virus from that. Zach, you know what that means? You lose them from 14 days, both of them. Over again, it doesn't matter. And I'm every team. If I'm the Lakers, if I'm the Warriors, if I'm Brooklyn, who literally sent everybody there. If I am one of those teams, and I know there's a couple, but if I'm one of those teams, this has the potential to be a super spreader. Because think about it. Second, if one person tests positive, guess what? You're not taking out your team. You're taking out the other team's best stars. This is poor planning. It's like I'm all for All-Star Weekend, just not this year. There's no point.
I'm not sure what the protocols look like as compared to the bubble, but the NBA does deserve the benefit of the doubt when it comes to the track record of containing spread and things like that. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid did not have a close scare because of the fact that they were at All-Star Weekend. They didn't pick it up from, say, a staffer in Atlanta. They picked it up in Philly, or if they did pick it up, they picked it up from the barber in Philadelphia. Now, if they went down there, and now if they've picked it up or have sent it to anybody else, whether it be James Harden or LeBron James or anybody down there, well, then, yes, you have a much bigger problem. I don't know enough about the protocols to speak about that. The NBA was proactive, having both Ben and Joel not play. Again, time will tell with this, but Gavin, I think it is a little bit unfair to jump to the conclusion here. When it comes to the NBA, the players could have turned down the invitation. I know there's a lot of pressure. James Harden said he was kind of forced into it. While you kind of have the opportunity to turn the invitation down, you kind of don't. But at the same time, given their success with the bubble, they probably felt pretty confident with how this went. And again, I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what kind of freedom they have in the original Magic City. But I think for Lou Williams, he probably should have went down there because they're in Atlanta. But you're right. This is an unprecedented year. I'm really tired of saying that word. I hope sooner than later we can stop saying unprecedented year. But it's not insane to cancel the All-Star. We've seen everything. We've seen Tuesday football, Wednesday football, Friday. We've seen everything this year. Postponed games, moved around, contact tracing. We've seen it all. Moving this game would not have been too big of a deal. I don't know what money's in it really without fans there. But Gavin, you said this is for the fans. They'll be watching on TV tonight, but the fans aren't there. However, my final thing is that just based on the league's history of how they've handled the pandemic so far, which I think has been as good as you really can get, then I would have to give them the benefit of the doubt when it comes to how they assess doing the All-Star game this year.
Well, Zach, another problem I have too is they picked one of the worst states in all pandemic in the United States. Zach, you picked Georgia of all places. And why do I say that, Zach? Before any other state in America is open, right now, I guess I can give Georgia the benefit of the doubt because Texas, they're rolling with no mask. I don't know what you guys are thinking in Mississippi. You guys too. You guys are idiots for thinking that. But Zach, you picked a state that's been open all year long. Zach, we used to run through the numbers where some states weren't when some states are on the down rise, some states are going up. The southern states are going up. Zach, Georgia was one of those states that opened up first. Lennox, Magic City, all those places were all open for a long time now. And you picked up, it's like going to Florida. Why did you pick Florida as a bubble spot? Well, you saw how strict they were. But Zach, my point is your destination pick is also terrible. You should have moved it to a state that, fair enough, had, recent, COVID cases aren't that high. But you picked a bad state to begin with. And I'm not talking now, I'm no means bashing the city or that because, Zach, at some time in my life, I would like to move to Georgia. But Zach, you're picking a state that's been open, that has their COVID battles, that has all the problems with that. And then you're forcing players to play. And who knows what the protocol is. It's like another thing, too, about All-Star Weekend is you go travel, right? And this is something that's happened all this year. When you go to your hotel room, you don't leave. You don't go nowhere else. So, Zach, once again, you're going to All-Star Weekend. You're going to a city that you've probably been to if you played there. And you go, and you can't even go sightseeing. You can't go explore. You're just sitting there. So, Zach, once again, what's the point of having All-Star Weekend this year?
Now, I will ask this, though, before we move on to kind of breaking down the actual game itself. But do you think it would have been a better idea for the NBA to say to the G League, for those who don't know, is currently at the ESPN Worldwide of Sports, which is where the bubble was in Orlando and where it's still being used. Do you think it would have been better for them to re-enter the bubble for the All-Star Weekend, or just omit altogether the All-Star Weekend?
Zach, if you hear players that were at the bubble, they hated it. They hated every moment of it. They hated every moment they got. Yeah, you're in a resort, but you're away from your family. You're away from that. Zach, just give the nod to do what the NFL did. You give the nod. You tell the people who was in. They get the All-Star or the Pro Bowl selection, and then nothing happened. That's what you should have did in the NBA. You should have given them a nod and say who was here, and then called it a day. That's it.
As always, time will tell. We'll see how this rolls out. But we will get to the logistics behind it. Again, as Sixers fans, it might be kind of hard to register this because we're not outsiders. But in years past, Giannis, LeBron, KD, Russell Westbrook, Steph Curry, who are having MVP seasons, the rest of the league looks at Joel Embiid the way that we looked at those guys during those years. The MVP of the league is not playing in the All-Star game due to the contact tracing. That is a big deal. But that is the last thing I'm going to say on that, Gavin. Anything else on that before we go?
I'll take it one step deeper. The previous MVP and Kevin Durant and multiple finals MVP has been knocked out by contact tracing even before his hamstring. And he's not the only one that contact tracing did it to. Zach, let's look here. You got Steph Curry.
The Sixers had that whole run where they played against the Nuggets with 7 players.
Exactly. Then you got Ja Morant and the Grizzlies, where Ja Morant missed some time with the contact tracing. Contact tracing is ruining the sport right now. And Zach, I'm no by any means I'm bashing, but you're right. The MVP of the league is not there tonight.
That's a big deal. That carries an awful lot of weight. For sure. All right. I mean, it's going to be interesting tonight. Again, for the rest of the league, taking a look at this is the MVP of the league. No doubt about it right now. Everybody unanimously thinks that it beats the MVP except for the small group of people in Denver that think Jokic is, and the salty Utah Jazz fans. But in all seriousness, again, that's a pretty big deal. But let's get to it, Gavin. Team LeBron against Team Kevin Durant. I'm going to read off the starters for both sides. Of course, updated once Embiid was out. Zion Williamson will be taking his spot. But let's start with Team LeBron. And so, Gavin, I know it's going to be hard for you to pick LeBron's favorite, but he did draft your favorite player. He did draft Steph Curry. So let's read off the starters here. We got Steph Curry at point guard. We got Luka Doncic running the 2, LeBron at the 3, Giannis at the 4, and Nikola Jokic at the 5. The other team, Team Durant, has Kyrie Irving, Bradley Beal, Kawhi Leonard, Jason Tatum, and they're going small. Zion Williamson will be playing the 5 tonight. The benches, of course, you do have the reserves. For Kevin Durant, it's going to be Mike Conley, Anthony Davis, who's hurt, unfortunately, who was replaced by Devin Booker, who also was hurt and replaced by Mike Conley, and then James Harden, and then, of course, Zach LaVine, Donovan Mitchell, Julius Randle, and Nikola Vucevic. And then, of course, on Team Durant's side, on the benches, we have Damian Lillard, Chris Paul, Domantas Sabonis, Jaylen Brown, and Paul George, with Ben Simmons, who was a reserve, of course, will not be there due to the contact tracing. As of right now, the best starting 5, Gavin, I would have to go Team LeBron. I think that they're the stronger one. You have a really, really strong front backcourt in both Steph Curry and Luka Doncic, 2 MVP candidates this year. And then LeBron and Giannis, 2 MVP candidates. And then, of course, the second best center in basketball.
Hold on, wait a minute.
Best player on the court.
Time out. LeBron James is not MVP candidate this year, so you got to stop.
I'm just reading off of the Kia MVP
I'm just letting you know. I'm
just reading off my script.
I'm just letting you know. He's not. But go ahead.
Well, that's my opinion. So I'll ask you that, Gavin. Then, which starting 5 do you think is stronger?
Well, I'm going to go with Team Le GM, because he drafted a great team. Look, Zach, he's known for building teams because that's all he does is trade players away when they don't make a shot. Zach, you got Steph Curry, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and the reason I just named those 2 is they are both in the leagues of their own. Steph Curry being the greatest shooter of all time, and Damian Lillard, let's cut it out. I like you, but you're no, Logo Lillard's not a thing. Listen, Zach, and then you got Giannis no, it's a thing, but they're calling him.
Hold on, man.
Yeah, they call him better shooter than Steph Curry. Come on now. And then Zach, you got Giannis Antetokounmpo, who the Greek freak, who is one of the best paint scores I've seen in with my eyes, and no discrediting to Tim Duncan and some other guys, but just me personally, just from what he does. They're going to give you 30. They can just give 30 alone. Then, Zach, you got Luka Doncic, who everything's a step back. And then Nikola Jokic, the decent center, he's going to get some nice passes. All they're going to – that starting lineup has potential. If there was a regular season, it can go 82-0. Just those 5 alone.
It's a good fit because Luka likes to pass and Nikola likes to pass. The rest of them are able to do their jobs. The 3 guys on that team that are consistently able to knock down triple doubles, of course, Jokic, LeBron, and Luka Doncic. I think it's going to be a good fit for them tonight. So that is we both can agree are the best starting 5. But you take a look at the other side. Of course, Zion's going to be an interesting matchup to watch. Who's going to go up against him? But expect to see a lot of small ball, fast pace tonight, as it always tends to be. But again, LeBron's bench we read off before. You have Lillard, Paul in the backcourt coming up for them. Down low, Rudy Gobert is their only backup center at this point. I mean, Durant's bench is fine, but unfortunately, Anthony Davis is injured. So that ended up resulting in Mike Conley coming in because Booker's not going to be participating. And then, of course, James Harden. It's a little thin on that side. I do have to once again go with LeBron as the strong suit with the bench.
Zach, LeBron James' bench might be better, but remember, Kevin Durant's bench has quality people that can go for 40. Zach, they're viewed as the underdogs. Team Durant is viewed as the underdogs. In 2K, they have him rated as 90 overall, and the other team is 92. Why did I bring that up? I don't know, but it's nice.
One fact of the day from 2K. That's how much Gavin plays.
That's how much you get. Zach, I haven't picked up the sticks since last night, but when you look at this team, they're going to get their fair share of points. Zach, it's the starting 5 of Team LeBron that scares me, but the bench not so much. The bench not so much for me for Team LeBron. I got to go with Durant's bench on this one.
All right, so that brings us to the final question, the key matchup tonight. For those who don't necessarily know some of the how the scoring will work, it is the same as last year. 3 regular quarters. You then add 24 to whichever team is in the lead. So if Team LeBron has 120 points going into the fourth, 144 is going to be the target score. And then the fourth quarter is going to be like a regular NBA game. There's going to be some defense played because there is a point, assuming it's going to be close again. For us, it's fun to watch. If you're a coach or a medical staff, of course, you're going to be terrified. However, I do have Team LeBron winning tonight. I'll go moderate score. I think 170 to 162.
Something tells me Team Durant's team's going to win tonight. I don't.
I can see them being flashy early and having a hot start, but I think that the Team LeBron will eventually come back and recapture that.
I gotta go Team with GM 170 to 169. Steph Curry is a game winner.
The game winner, 24 points after the leading score. It's going to be an interesting one. But who leads going into the fourth quarter? Which score will be used?
Oh, Team Durant. Team Durant will be leading going in there, but it'll be by 1 point. It'll be by 1
Now,
point.
what happens if LeBron hits the game winner? Will you give him credit?
No, there's Zach. Listen, I'd rather do a whole bunch of other things to give him credit for something that doesn't matter. But Zach, real quick, why did they change the format of the All-Star game? I like the regular old All-Star game where it's just a regular game because it's too hard to kind of keep track.
I mean, of course, last year it was done in memory of Kobe Bryant, the 24 points. It's going to be an interesting one to watch. I'm telling you right now, I'm excited for it. I mean, we haven't had much normalcy in the world in the past year. We're starting very slowly to see some. This can potentially be a start again for those who may have not been here the other day. This week was the infamous week last year where the world kind of changed as we knew it from then to now. So stay tuned as we break it down. On Thursday, we'll be talking about how the world kind of changed that one day last year when the All-Star Rudy Gobert tested positive for COVID. We're going to break it down next week. It's going to be fun. A couple of final notes today as we continue to wind down. The Flyers start at 7 o'clock tonight. The first time in a year I was at the last game that the Flyers had with fans. Tonight they will have fans again. They've been struggling against Pittsburgh. But I'm looking forward to tonight. I'll be watching that until the All-Star game, of course. And there'll be a fun night of sports tonight. Of course, PGA wrapping up now, NASCAR underway. It's finally getting warmer out. We're going to have some 60-degree weather this week, which means I will finally be back out on the golf course, which means I'll be able to come on here every day and report how great or how terrible I did that day.
You sure
But in
know?
all seriousness, that's just some of the things going on around the sports world tonight.
He's shooting over everybody. Don't let him fool you. He goes every day and he shoots over. All right. If James Trevani was there, he would tell you how he shoots over. And Zach, we were challenged by the Whitmans to go out in a little 2v2 mini golf. So we're going to get out there as soon as
I'll be ready for it. You and I, we still got to play. We got one more to go in order to figure out who the ultimate mini golf champion is, as we are both tied at 1.
I need a belt, ladies and gentlemen. Someone needs to customize me a belt.
Yeah, man. Look, possibly a green jacket. I don't know what we're going to figure out to win. This current tournament today, though, has a one of those red, I guess, sweaters that you call them. That's what the winner gets instead of a green jacket. We'll figure something out. More Than Philly Sports Open champion. As we have one more match to go, and we'll possibly live stream that if we can figure out a way to do it on my phone or something like that.
We can get a cameraman. That'll be all good. But no, next week is, as Zach, as you said, next week is the day where the world stopped. And we're going to talk about what we were doing that day. What was the last memory, Zach? For me personally, it was kind of funny because I was at the movies actually. I was watching Bad Boys for Life. That came out around this time last year. And then all of a sudden the world stopped. But the one thing, and we're going to dive deeper into it next week, but the one thing that always will bother me, Zach, and I don't know how you feel about this, is the fact that the NBA shut down and all the major leagues and stuff shut down before the school shut down. I don't know how you feel about that, Zach. I was not happy about that. But
it was a crazy week in general. It was again. We'll go into more detail. We're just giving you guys a little bit of the surface of how interesting our talk will be this week of how much we remember. But I remember it was that Friday. I mean, they announced that one of the schools in our district was going to be doing a deep cleaning because of an exposure. And then all of a sudden they announced that there was going to be a 2-week hiatus. We all know how that turned out.
They kept saying 2 weeks, Zach.
2 weeks. No, I mean, look, the NBA was shut down on Wednesday. Baseball was shut down that Thursday. That Wednesday was when – because I remember I was walking out of school with one of my friends and I saw an ESPN notification that the Nets-Warriors game in the Chase Center – they're called Chase Center now – in San Fran would be played with no fans. And I thought that was such a crazy concept because the NBA was going to meet. The NBA was planning on meeting, and they were going to sit down. They're going to say, we're going to have no fans. We're going to order some of these test kits. We're going to report symptoms. We're going to keep guys limited to interaction when we can, and we're going to just run as normal. However, the second a player tested positive, all of those plans were thrown out the window. The league was shut down. It was resumed a couple months later, and the season was complete. Little did we know back then, a lot has come since then. We were here to report it all live. I think that's awesome as the weather gets warmer out and we're sitting here doing the show. It reminds me of some of the earlier days we were doing it. We said it before, Gavin. We started a sports talk show when sports weren't happening. We had to find some things to talk about. We have lots of sports to break down now. So with that being said, as we are winding down on the half hour, we do have about an hour or so 2 hours until the game starts, but an hour until the Flyers. But Gavin, anything else for you? Again, very exciting week coming up for us as we begin to talk about the week the world changed as we know it.
Zach, you said it best. It's just all crazy. We started a sports talk show when there was no sports. And Zach, I have a little fun fact for you. The last time that I was actually in our school building was August 1st for a senior picture. I have not been back in the building since that. Ladies and gentlemen, if I had to go back tomorrow, I wouldn't know where I was going.
I think that also last in November. I did go to a few days of school in the hybrid schedule, but not much since. It's been a crazy ride the last year. Hard to believe we're back in March. It feels like we're still in March from last year. Maybe we are. It's been a crazy run, and we're far from finished from the pandemic perspective. Gavin, from the show perspective, we are far from finished. We're not going anywhere. For anyone who's been wondering, they asked us in the summer of last year what's going to happen when you go to school, what's going to happen next year. Don't worry about it. We'll be here for the long run without a doubt as we continue to grow, including some awesome content like we're providing right now. With that being said, everybody, I want to thank you all for taking some time to listen with us today. All-Star game starts in just about 2 hours. Gavin, anything else you wanted to say?
Nope. I'll save it all for the week, Zach. I'm probably going to go scream at the video game because going back to the weekend schedule. But
back to our normally scheduled programs for the weekend.
Yep. Act like we were never here. All right, everyone.
Stay tuned for some schedules for the week. We'll try to get some traditional shows. We're going to work some of those back in as the time works, get some other recordings. We do have some big news in the NFL this week as free agency continues, as well as the tag begins getting used.
True. We know it. It's not big news. It's obvious. Howard's a disappointment. Let's start that in the trend.
We knew that for sure. But thank you again, everybody. We appreciate it. Enjoy the All-Star game. Enjoy the Flyers game, whatever you're watching tonight. Thank you again, and have a great night. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Have a good one, everybody.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live and when we post excerpts of our videos. Again, thanks for watching.